Well, I feel that the people of this country made it very plain that they approved what we've been doing.
I have no plans for seeking the presidency or any other elective office again.
Good evening, I'm Tom Brokaw, and this is the NBC Nightly News, once again from our election headquarters, the day after one of the most impressive presidential victories in American history. President Reagan and George Bush won 59% of the vote, beating the Mondale-Ferraro ticket by 18 points. But in politics, even a landslide has its price, and Chris Wallace reports tonight that the president didn't get what he wanted in Congress.
The president today tried to turn his personal landslide into a victory for conservatism, ignoring what aides admit were disappointing results for other Republicans.
We're going to continue what we've been doing, and if need be, we'll take our case to the people.
Reagan would not use the word mandate, and top advisors concede he'll have a tough time with the new Congress. Still, they say the president plans a big new push to cut the deficit, considering spending cuts in everything except Social Security and defense, and reviewing all tax deductions, except those for home mortgage interest and charitable donations. But advisors believe after focusing on the deficit for the first 6 months, Reagan will turn more to foreign policy. Today, he said the U.S. is not sure whether the Soviets are shipping jet fighters to Nicaragua, but would regard that as very serious.
We have informed them that for them to bring something that is absolutely unnecessary to them, these high-performance craft in here, indicates that they are contemplating being a threat to their neighbors here in the Americas.
But aides say Reagan is determined to improve relations with the Soviets. He said he is considering appointment of an arms control czar to try to break the negotiating deadlock. One issue on which there was no change today was whether this president, who hasn't held a formal news conference since July, will now hold them more often. Reagan ducked the question with a one-liner.
Look, I won. I don't have to subject myself to...
With that, the first family headed for a 4-day vacation at their ranch. Mrs. Reagan, who complained of dizziness after hitting her head, was feeling better. And the president was carrying a book by Richard Nixon about how the U.S. must stand up to the Soviets around the world. Close advisors say the real story of the second Reagan term may be how little change there is, noting that people seldom change their work habits, lifestyle, or ideology at age 73. Chris Wallace, NBC News, with the president in California.
Walter Mondale today predicted that the American people are going to be very angry with the policies of a second Reagan administration. Lisa Myers tonight with the day after for Mondale and Ferraro.
The final emotional appearance with Ferraro, as if to remind the country that Mondale should be remembered for more than his devastating defeat. Although the debate continues over whether she helped or hurt, Mondale said he had no regrets. He attributed defeat to Reagan's personal popularity, the economy, and voters' desire for continuity. He said his chances of winning vanished during the second debate.
The president did sufficiently well in the second debate that I think it reassured Americans, and they did what I think they were planning to do all along.
He said deep scars from the bloody Democratic primary, his inability to attract young and independent voters, and his problems with television also were factors.
I think, you know, I've never really warmed up to television. And in fairness to television, it's never really warmed up to me. I don't like these things, as a matter of fact.
But he insisted that it was not a mistake to campaign for a tax increase.
I believe that one of the biggest meals of crow that this administration will eat, and there will be several, will be this one concerning revenues.
Other Democrats blamed the tax increase, Ferraro, and the courting of interest groups such as organized labor. It may have been, as Barry Goldwater said, that no Democrat alive could have beaten Reagan. But Mondale had to face the question of whether someone could have done better.
You know, I did my best, and I worked my heart out, and I was the nominee of the Democratic Party. I think the Democrats made that choice with their eyes wide open. I believe they made the right choice, and I don't want to look backward.
But it hurts. Lisa Myers, NBC News, with the Mondale campaign in St. Paul.
By the way, for all of the talk about a heavier voter turnout this time, the voter turnout was up just 0.3% over what it was in 1980. Coming up in this program, more about the Reagan landslide and what it means for the 99th Congress, also for blacks and for women. And we'll have the story of that Soviet freighter, a Soviet freighter that has docked in Nicaragua with a mystery cargo.
There are lots of ways to communicate over long distances, but with some, you may not be able to reach everywhere you want, anytime you want. And a faraway message may feel far away. But you can always count on AT&T, the only long-distance service that lets you call from anywhere to anywhere with operators standing by. And with AT&T, your calls will sound as close as next door. So why settle for anything less? AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound.
Reach out and touch someone.
I can't find...
I'll be home at 10. 9.
Come away to a new High Point and relax. High Point coffee helps smooth out the rough edges, smooth in relaxation, gently washing away not only caffeine, but also bitterness that can interrupt your coffee pleasure. Relaxing moments don't last forever.
Mom, I missed the bus.
New High Point smooths out rough edges, smooths in relaxation.
There's a trail down there most folks use to get to know this mountain. I've gotten more out of going my own way. Lots of cereals seem to satisfy most folks, too. Grape nut cereal makes breakfast my way, and my way's all natural. No added sugar, nothing artificial. The natural sweetness of wheat and barley. Goodness in every crunch. See, there's no question Grape Nuts is right for you. Question is, are you right for Grape Nuts?
There is a good deal of confusion tonight about Soviet ships in Nicaragua. The Reagan administration says that a Soviet freighter has arrived at a Nicaraguan port and that it may be carrying MiG fighter jets, and that would be unacceptable. Well, there's been other activity as well involving Soviet ships. Soviet ships have been arriving and leaving Nicaragua regularly. Mike Betcher reports tonight on what has been seen.
A Soviet cargo ship rode high in the water as it left Corinto Harbor, indicating whatever cargo it had been carrying had been unloaded. Nicaraguan officials said the freighter did not deliver Soviet MiG jets, but they added it could have carried military equipment from the Soviet Union. This morning, Nicaraguan Army trucks left the port area carrying dozens of crates. Nicaraguan leaders say no other Eastern Bloc freighters are coming, but the State Department and Pentagon still allude to another freighter that may be carrying Soviet jets. Small ships from the Nicaraguan Navy patrolled the harbor as the Soviet ship left. This morning, Nicaragua said an American warship entered Nicaraguan waters just outside the port, then returned to international waters and put several small speedboats in the sea. Nicaraguan Foreign Minister Miguel Descoto said this adds up to an imminent American invasion of Nicaragua.
I think that this is all leading Mr. Reagan to push the panic button and to, in a very reckless and irresponsible manner, to endanger international peace and security.
Descoto said Nicaragua has a right to buy weapons to defend itself, like this Soviet helicopter. Sources in Nicaragua and in Washington have told NBC News that 4 new Soviet helicopter gunships were delivered to the Nicaraguan port of El Bluff last week. This 12,000-foot runway is still being constructed north of Managua. U.S. officials believe it will be a base for Soviet-made jets. The Nicaraguans say President Reagan will use the airstrip and allegations of MiG shipments as an excuse to invade. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Managua.
Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan of New York is the ranking Democrat in the Senate Intelligence Committee. The administration now says it does not know whether that ship contains MiG-21s or MiG-26s or airplanes of any kind. Why would they raise this in the first place?
Mainly because of the port it came from, mainly because the Nicaraguans have been completing a major international military airport in Punta Huete, just a little while out of Managua, and mainly because we have told the Soviets that this would be an unacceptable event, the introduction of MiGs into the region, into that country, into that airport.
But if the MiGs really will not change very much the military equation in Central America, why have we been so tough with the Soviets?
A fair point, Tom, and precisely because it would not have a military effect. It is rather a political statement. It is a statement that this is Soviet-controlled territory. And it's not acceptable.
And what could we do about it?
We have told the Soviets, we've told the Nicaraguans that it can't be done, and we have reached agreement in Washington what we would do if it were done. It would be, by them, a decision, by them, the Soviets, a decision to create a crisis. I hope they don't.
You're saying that we'd have to take the MiGs out in some fashion?
In some fashion. They would have to leave quickly and in response to our insistence that they do.
Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, there was no launch today at all at Cape Canaveral. Only those familiar words from NASA, "We'll try again tomorrow." The latest mission of the Space Shuttle Discovery was scrubbed this morning, 32 minutes before its scheduled launch. The reason, strong winds that could have damaged the shuttle on liftoff. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Jake Garn of Utah was riding high today. NASA told him that he has been chosen to ride on a future shuttle mission. Garn is 52 years old, a former Navy pilot, and he also happens to be chairman of the subcommittee that controls much of NASA's money. Several major banks today cut their prime lending rate from 12% to 11.75%. Some analysts said that the rates are coming down because the economy is slowing down.
For the fourth year in a row...
New test results in?
Yes. For the fourth year in a row, in an independent test, over 1,000 people were asked which 19-inch TV had the best overall color picture.
Please, don't drag it out. Just give results. Majority of people pick Sylvania Superset over Sony again?
Yes. And over RCA and Zenith, too.
Nandeska, Kolnadeska, Sylvania be Sony again? Doshte.
Hey, that cereal looks delicious.
It's new.
Pineapple, banana, and coconut.
Very tropical.
It's called Fruit and...
Now another post-fruit and fiber cereal. Tropical Fruit. Tastes so good you forget the fiber. High fiber flakes mixed with sunny dried pineapple, crunchy banana chips, and tender coconut. So all you remember is... fruit.
And,
New fruit and...
New fruit and fiber with Tropical Fruit. It tastes so good you forget the fiber.
Imagine, if you were on the moon, you'd probably be glad to have a big Ford pickup. You'd be happy about Ford's unique independent front suspension while driving over the jagged lunar rocks. You'd enjoy the great power of Ford's choice of V8 and diesel engines, and you'd appreciate the comfort of Ford's roomy cab. And when you know that Ford's F-Series pickups outsell every truck line on this nearby planet, you might say, my Ford truck and me, we can go almost anywhere. The best-built American trucks are built Ford tough.
There was a suggestion today from House Republican leader Robert Michael of Illinois that President Reagan could have done more to help elect other congressional Republicans. The party's congressional candidates got very little help, it turns out, from the Reagan landslide. Roger Mudd tonight has details on the so-called coattail effect. Roger?
Tom, Mr. Reagan's coattails barely touched the ground last night. His popularity helped save the conservative Helms, but not the once liberal Percy. The new Senate will look like this. Republicans, 53 seats. Democrats, 47 seats, for a net Democratic gain of 2. In Kentucky, the Reagan coattails did drag a young Louisville Republican, Mitch McConnell, all the way to Washington. But in Massachusetts, Reagan could not prevent the strong victory of Democrat John Kerry.
How sweet it is!
Nor in Iowa could Reagan's campaigning for the GOP untrack the election of Democrat Tom Harkin or of Democrat Albert Gore Jr. in Tennessee. But in North Carolina, the Reagan avalanche helped save Republican Senator Jesse Helms from defeat by Governor James Hunt.
So, Mr. President, wherever you are, thank you very much. We love you.
The Reagan landslide carried with it to the Senate Republican Phil Gramm. But in Illinois, Reagan's pulling power could not pull Charles Percy back from defeat by Democrat Paul Simon. But as Percy was losing, his son-in-law, Governor John D. Rockefeller IV of West Virginia, was winning, this time as senator. In the House of Representatives, the president's popularity helped the GOP regain some but not all of the ground it lost 2 years ago. This is NBC News' estimate of the 99th Congress. Democrats, 250 seats. Republicans, 185 seats, for a net Republican gain of 17 seats. Among the House members who ran afoul of the law or of their ethics code, Democrat Gary Studs of Massachusetts, re-elected to his 7th term. Republican George Hansen of Idaho, seeking his 8th term, still too close to call. And Republican Daniel Crane of Illinois, defeated after 3 terms. In Mississippi's 2nd congressional district, recently redrawn to include more blacks, the black Democrat Robert Clark again lost to Republican Webb Franklin.
So, Tom, in the Congress, the lineup is roughly the same, with President Reagan unable to convert the congressional races into a referendum on his own record.
Thanks, Roger. Seems like we've been sitting here beside each other for about the past 3 days now. By the way, the vote was a hollow victory for the leaders of America's blacks. They turned out more black voters than ever before, but as Dennis Murphy reports tonight, they had little cause for rejoicing in the end.
At Pascal's restaurant in Atlanta, the morning after eggs and coffee were served with disappointment and anxiety.
I think we saw a good example of white flight. People voting for their pocketbook, basic self-interest.
This administration has not done anything for black people.
Do you think this vote on yesterday reflected a concern of human need?
Blacks in a Chicago soup line today echoed the feeling.
Now I'm hungry. I'll be starving when he get out of the neck in '88.
I think he is insensitive to black people and poor people.
Blacks voted in record numbers yesterday, 90% for Mondale. But an NAACP victory party in Atlanta last night could celebrate only the black turnout, not the results.
Ronald Reagan has been re-elected the President of the United States.
As many as 3 million new black voters registered this year, but their presidential vote had no impact because the majority of white Democrats defected to President Reagan. Houston Congressman Mickey Leland says blacks must reorganize.
What kind of coalitions do we build within the realm of the Congress, within the realm of the body politic period, so that we can insulate ourselves further from the kind of hurt that Ronald Reagan has put on us?
This afternoon, the man who electrified millions of black Americans confessed to a sinking feeling as he watched the president on television. Jesse Jackson was glad the Democrats did well in Congress.
So in a real sense, we lost the top of the ticket last night, and Reagan got the Heisman Trophy. Our team won the game.
It will take teamwork for black Americans to reorganize, to prevent disappointment from turning into disillusionment. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Atlanta.
Geraldine Ferraro has been saying for months now that doors were open this year for women in politics at the national level. But now that she and her running mate have been rejected by the voters, have those same doors been slammed shut? Bob Kerr tonight on candidate Ferraro and the questions that she has raised.
On the morning after 37 million Americans voted for the first ticket with a woman on it, Geraldine Ferraro insisted that neither her candidacy nor the defeat had set back women in politics.
No one ever said that we'd win an election because there is a woman on the ticket. We are not monolithic. We have wonderfully independent minds.
Ferraro's political director, a woman of considerable experience, says Ferraro was oversold, that expectations were too high and Mondale's popularity too low. Still, Ferraro did not help much with the voters Mondale strategists hoped she would draw.
Women, Italian Americans, Catholics. But there is no solid evidence that Ferraro hurt his chances, and in Chicago today, some women looked ahead.
I think that women are going to come up and have a better chance now.
Now that she ran, it makes everyone else say, well, I could do it.
And in Washington today, women leaders called Ferraro an admirable pioneer.
It's tough to be the first of anything. There's no question in my mind but that Geraldine Ferraro has advanced the cause of women candidates.
Jerry Ferraro had 10,000 new first-time financial contributors. That's unheard of.
She was tough, and she was knowledgeable, and she was funny, and she just lifted the spirits of everybody, even people who weren't going to vote for her, and said so.
Ferraro tried to sum it up last night as she thanked Walter Mondale.
He opened a door which will never be closed again. That is a victory of which every American can be proud.
Bob Kerr, NBC News, New York.
One woman appears to have scored a notable victory in yesterday's vote, but only by the thinnest of margins at this hour. Democrat Madeleine Kunin edged Republican John Easton in the race for governor of Vermont, winning a majority by just 0.1%.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And when many adults get a cough, they play doctor at home. They treat their cough with the same medicine they originally bought for their children. They need one of the adult formulas from Vicks for the coughs adults get with the strength adults need. Formula 44 for coughs, 44D for coughs with congestion, and now Formula 44M for coughs with congestion and a raw, irritated throat. The adult formulas. You can't buy anything more effective.
The adult formulas from Vicks, of course.
My most embarrassing moment with my dentures? My graduation day last June. When I went up for my diploma, I sneezed. I thought I'd lost my upper plate. Then I discovered a new denture adhesive, new improved Super Polygrip.
See for yourself. New Super Polygrip has improved holding power. We improved the grip to give you more confidence.
Even when I sneeze.
New improved Super Polygrip. We improved the grip to give you more confidence.
Every day, all over the country, demanding test drivers put Buick Century to the ultimate test. The hill climb challenge. The suspension ordeal. The handling course. The water torture. It is, in fact, the truest test of the century. The real world. Your world. Now, wouldn't you really rather have a Buick?
Is finally over, and however people may differ over the results, there is a general agreement in the land that this campaign went on too long. But there were good moments as well in this campaign year, even great moments, and you'll see the good ones and the bad ones in this television history of Campaign 84, prepared by Frank Schanbacher and Cara DeVito.
I'm Gary Hart, running for president.
He said, Mr. Hart, running for president of the United States.
Oh, yeah, how are you?
I am therefore announcing that I am a candidate
for president.
For the presidency.
For president. For the presidency. For president.
For the presidency.
The presidency of the United States. I'll admit to being dull, but not boring.
Don't throw away your conscience.
Looks like one of my opponents. I won't say which one.
When I hear your new ideas, I'm reminded of that ad. Where's the beef?
Yeah. Hands that once picked cotton and oranges can now pick a president. Your time has come.
What is your collective response to Reverend Jackson's failure to shoot Reverend Farrakhan?
We are hopeful that during your second term that you do as well as you have your first term.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Yeah. We've come from disgrace to amazing grace. Our time has come. Give me your tithe. Give me your poor, your humble masses who yearn to breathe free. And come November, there will be a change because our time has come.
I stand before you to proclaim tonight, America is the land where dreams can come true for all of us.
Y'all
America is on the move again.
This is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I just saw a sign over here that said Jane Wyman was right.
With regard to the progressivity of
Have you decided what the arms control policy is going to be in the second term, Mrs. Reagan?
I'm asking Amy.
I would never say that Congresswoman Ferraro was a witch.
Oh, God, he hurt you. Turn that thing off.
It's a beauty.
Who did you vote for?
And I'm at peace with the knowledge that I gave it everything I've got.
You ain't seen nothing yet. God bless you. Thank you all very much.
A year without end, so it seemed for a time. That's Nightly News for this Wednesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night from all of us at NBC News.
It splits the dark with a powerful beam. Spotlighter rechargeable light from Black & Decker. A light built so strong it can survive a drop of 6 feet. Stored in its own recharging base, Spotlighter's ready on a moment's notice to give you light. Light for your safety and peace of mind. Black & Decker Spotlighter. It's one utility light that does more than just shine. Also, there's Spotlighter SL2, the rechargeable personal security light from Black & Decker.
A lot of long-distance companies would like you to think they're just like AT&T. But take a closer look and see how different they really are. No operator service, no immediate credit for wrong numbers, and no service from many small towns. Only one long-distance company gives you full service, only AT&T. Sometimes there's just no substitute for the real thing. AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound.
Reach out and touch someone.
I'm Bryant Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today, the Democratic and Republican Party chairmen look to the future.
I'm Jane Pauley. We'll meet the Cosby kids.
Tomorrow morning on Today.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. If you got heartburn and you take Rolaids, you get 100% relief because it's gone.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. I wouldn't use anything but Rolaids.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
It's an ugly word, but when you suffer, it's ugly too. To stop the suffering, more doctors recommend Anusol than all other brands of hemorrhoid medicine combined. Words can't kill, but they can hurt. You'll be relieved to know with more doctors, the word is Anusol.
On Highway to Heaven, can Michael Landon stop a greedy developer with a little help from above? Then on a special 1-hour Facts of Life, Joe's in love with her professor. But is she ready for marriage and a big surprise?
Dad.
And on St. Elsewhere, the rapist clings to life as the police search the hospital for his attacker. Tonight.
Coming up next on The Scene at 6, Albert Gore Jr. meets with Governor Alexander following his victory in yesterday's Senate election. And an automobile accident involving an alleged drunk driver leaves one man dead.
Also tonight, a Bowling Green minister convicted of raping his 2 daughters asks for a new trial. And we'll look at why we use life-sustaining technology as we continue our series, Till Death Do Us Part.
These stories and more news coming up next on The Scene at 6.
It's new.
Levi's cord